From World of Sport now, Club Corner, discussing the game between South Melbourne and St Kilda with coaches Alex Jesselenko and Ian Stewart, is Bob Davis.
Well, to both of you now, it was a magnificent first quarter. Alex, what did you say to your team at quarter time for them to suddenly ease a little bit? And to you, Stewie, how did you get yours working?
He's not allowed to say a word. He's gagged until after next week's match.
Take that off, please.
I'm sorry, Stewie, I didn't mean it. Just a gag, you know.
First of all, to you, Alex. Now, your team, you played as well as I've seen the team play in the first quarter. It was a great effort.
Yes, unfortunately they couldn't keep that going. What I did say that the next quarter was going to be harder than the first quarter. I knew they couldn't keep that sort of standard going, but they had to fight it out, and I was a little bit disappointed with their second quarter, although a couple of South Melbourne players kept them in, and Teasdale in particular.
Yes, Teasdale did find tremendous touch in the second quarter. Ian, what did you say to your team?
I thought that St Kilda played very well all day, actually. And I thought
it was a high-class game.
It was an outstanding performance from our side. Now, we spoke about some of the winners in St Kilda's side, and we tightened up, but the most pleasing thing about the game was that we came from 8 goals down to win by 8.5 goals, but the senior players really lifted. Teaser, Roundy, Browning, Smith, Evans, and some of the younger players, but it was a fantastic effort from the South Melbourne players.
Well, can I ask you this straight on top of that? You go to Sydney next Sunday to play the top team.
I was going to say next year.
No.
Yes.
Next Sunday. How do you get on? How do you approach that game now?
It's going to be a very hard game. We've got to tighten up, obviously. If the side kicks 9 goals against us in one quarter, that means we've got some problems in defence. But a lot of our players are playing at their peak now. And the previous week we played very well. We're confident, but quietly confident. But Collingwood are a very good side. We're confident.
Alex, when the team starts to get a run on, as South Melbourne did yesterday, what do you advise them? How do you advise your team to try and curtail the movement of that?
Well, you try to pick players to stop certain other players from doing things, and Browning and Teaser. I had to change Saru on a Teaser and Barker on a Browning. A good player, another good player. Just try to stop them from getting that run.
Yes.
And then...
And does that normally upset your own balance, or can it upset the balance?
Sure, when you've got a young side like that, it does.
Yeah.
It upsets your flow. So, but we have to stop the opposition as well. Yeah. So by doing that, we can contain them for a while, but then our flow stop, and then they keep on going.
I see. Ian, I suppose I'm forced to ask you what happened at the half-time interval?
As I walked past the umpires...
There was an incident just before half-time in which St Kilda could have got a goal.
Yes, it was. And that was the incident that triggered my sort of frustrations.
I see, yeah.
I spoke to the umpires, so did Tony Franklin. Frank Brown didn't.
In a pleasant sort of voice?
I spoke to the umpires in a constructive manner. I did not at any stage, or neither did Tony or Frank, abuse the umpires. What point would I have in abusing the umpires at half-time with another half to be played? I spoke to the umpires about the way that I thought they weren't umpiring.
Yes.
But it was constructive. It was a human thing. We passed each other. And I think that somewhere along the line that we can't be too tough on the rules about sort of umpires and coaches talking constructively.
Right. Alex, how did you feel the umpires were going through the match?
Well, I have nothing to say about umpires.
Keep your trap shut, Alex.
That's right, it's the best way.
You find that's the best way. Well, now, Alex, your team looked excellent, and then they did fall apart a bit. You can say that you had to reconstruct it. Do you feel that you've found sufficient players to go on, and become a power?
We need some extra players, Bob. We need some bigger players and some more running players, 2 or 3 more running players. But out of the 16 games we've played, we've won 4. 3 I dismissed because we were thrashed by 100 points or so, and the other 9 games we've had a chance of winning.
Yes.
So we're not that far away, but we still need a bit more height and a few more running players.
And can you see those? You've recently brought a new scheme in, a junior development scheme. Can you see anything working along those lines at the moment? You know, can any of the fellas report back, you say, I found a couple of boys or anything like that?
Bob, that's going to take a few years yet.
Yeah.
They're going and not hitting, but they're going and surveying the whole area of the young kids, and they're 13, 14-year-olds. Now, these are not going to come through. These kids are not going to come through for another 2 or 3 years. But that's the way that St Kilda are looking at things, and I think that's the only way they can go.
Ian, can I ask you, do you work away from the football club? I don't mean personal work, but I mean your football work. Do you have an office away from the actual ground of the footy club? You and some of the other executives, you don't really work in the ground itself? Do you rent offices outside?
I'm not full-time at the club.
Ah, I
Is that what
see.
you mean?
Well, no, I don't mean that. When you do your football work connected with the footy club, do you actually... is the football club renting offices outside of their own offices? People like the development officer.
Why do you ask that
Well,
question?
a lot of people down at South Melbourne asked me that yesterday to ask you. They feel that money is being squandered. I'm not pointing the bone at you at doing that. I'm just wondering whether or not the executive, the officers, are away from the ground.
There's a Jack Marks, who is the chairman, leases offices on the 19th floor in Albert Road, an area of say 2,000 square feet. In that area, he sublet to the marketing division an area, and also sublet an area to myself.
Yeah.
But Mr. Marks pays rent. I'm sure that I pay rent.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I might be a couple of months behind.
Very cheap rent, is it, Ian?
No, it is not.
All right, mate, just the we'd ask.
$8 a square foot.
Yeah.
No, we all paid rent. I sort of...
Well,
only got a half a square
the
foot, so
question
he's gonna have
came
to
to me
pull
from a lot of South supporters. You know, they are a very emotional group down at South Melbourne at the moment, aren't they? Wanting you to stay there.
Yeah.
And that was just one of the questions I was asked.
Well, you've asked him 14 times, Bob. He's okay. Well, you've got a half a square foot, so you're up for $4, mate. Don't worry. You've got the Dempker Rub sports kit from World of Sport. Also the tea bags, plus the Mars bars for both, and this SO voucher for $20 for petrol. And they've got all the medallions of each club there. And we've got this Red Rooster barbecue chicken. You'll need this on Monday, because you'll be there for a long time. And have a good meal there, mate.
Thank you.